Welcome back, everyone. Irreverent Ellsworth here with sermon number 4. Coming to you from Oasis Church, our temporary location. Patient B. Couple things we're going to do today. We're going to continue on in our series, Reverend Ellsworth's Rules for Life. It's a fun series. I like it. I think it's a very valuable series. Rules to live by. If you remember from last time, Sermon 3, we talked about rule number 1 is to slow down the fun. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe you heard the hymn we sang. This is as high as you're gonna get. Now that is a lie, the safest one yet. I can't deny we live and we let, but this is as high as you're gonna get. Why do we sing that song, the Reverend Ellsworth? Well, I'll tell you. The reason we sing that song is for the simple fact that you have to understand that everything happens in moderation. This life is a balance between presence and absence. Before we were conceived, we were absence. In this life, we are now presence. And one day we will become absence once again. And the balance between those two is what life is. I mean, if you were fully present in every moment, you wouldn't need this. You wouldn't need any of this. But see, the beauty is you don't need any of this. You're here already. You just forgot. So slow down the fun. Everything in moderation. Find everything in balance. Because here's the beauty of it. The human condition is this. Humans like to dilute and purify. For example, look at a city structure and then look at a wild forest. Now, in a wild forest, you have the capacity for humans to live. And depending on their level of technology, their methods of agriculture, you can, keep a fairly sustainable, viable forest. It doesn't change much, and the humans can go around and play. But if those humans wish to reproduce, that's fine. But you might want to do it in a safe place. You might not want to sling your baby to your back and, go hundreds of miles to follow the herds. So then you chop down a tree. Hey, I get it. Nature does it all the time. Fucking woodchuck was going to do it anyway. The woodpecker didn't seem to have a problem. The mud wasp or whatever. I think there's a bumblebee or something that eats wood or something. I don't know. Hydrate and hydrate often, my friends. But what happens over time is that humans concentrate. And then you have a city. And the city is great, but the problem is the city cannot sustain itself. It is intense, it is in a moment, and we haven't taken the steps to, pull it off the energy grid, take it off the food grid, just make things sensible for a city. Anyway, so you have this purification and this creation of vacuums, or dilution. Purification and dilution. So in a city, you have this intensification of all these people living there. So what do you dilute? You dilute nature. So what happens is you have a city that's filled with a lot of smog and a lot of poor air quality because all the trees are gone. See, no trees, no filtering. It sucks. So, again, what will happen is eventually the people will die off because the air is so poor, and then the trees will regrow, and then people will learn how to be in tune with nature again, the proper way. So that's kind of a summary of last time. That's rule number 1, slow down the fun. They rhyme, by the way. Rule number 2, it all comes back to you. And I find that when I get really creative, I get into one of these sessions where I just like, oh my God, I got so much information. There's a wonderful story by Neil Gaiman in the Sandman series where a gentleman trades another gentleman for a muse, and he gives him a muse. And apparently these muses are these lovely mythological women who walk around naked, naturally, And one of them was taking a bath one day, and this old guy crept up and used a scroll of, "Come here, you're minus," whatever Latin they felt like jamming in there. And he owned this muse, so this other guy traded for a muse. And one day, as Death was walking by, she heard the muse cry out. And she went to her brother, the Sandman, or the Dreaming, I guess. I'm not... That's terrible. Why quote a story if you don't know the story? Anyway, she appeals to him, and he goes, oh, he wants to write, does he? So he apparently imbibes this, just like inspires this man to the point where he's writing with his fingers against the wall in his own blood, and he's like, please make the idea stop. I can't. So, yeah. So that goes back to slowing down the fun and all. And, excuse me, lesson number 2 is it always comes back to you. And it's like, what does that mean? Well, when I get particularly creative, like that poor man that's got ideas leaking out of his fingertips, I always am afraid I'm going to miss something. It's my favorite phrase with other comedians is write that down. Woo! Oh, the ideas that I have not written down, the jokes that you will never hear, folks, because I did not write it down. And that's sad for me. It's part of my lamenting, but at the same time, I have to remember that I wrote those jokes were funny to me, those jokes will be funny to me again. One day I'll be going along, I'll be in a line at a gas station, and somebody will hand me something, and then I'll remember a joke. So, rule number 2, it always comes back to you. Just relax. I know it's really hard to do, but take a breath. Now, another point of sermon number 4, because, that wasn't really a whole lot to say. I can ramble a while. I'm good at rambling. Nolan Ray once said, I've never met a man so in love with his own voice. You're welcome, Nolan Ray. Alright, so a friend of mine is taking maths, and she loves the maths. And in her maths class, she is doing conversions. And I think we're very familiar with this in one part of the world. We're not very familiar with this in the other part of the world. So what is a conversion? A conversion is basically taking information that you have and converting it into information that you want. So, for example, if you've ever done a recipe, recipes are great, but recipes are what are known as scalable. Scalable means if an omelet contains 2 eggs and a cup of cheese, and 2 eggs and a cup of cheese, we'll keep it simple. And I want 3 omelets. So then our classic formula is I want 3 times 2 eggs, which equals, I won't give it away. You write it down with yourself, maths friends. Maths. Always once. And then, of course, you want 3 times 1 cup of cheese. And, of course, that gets you how many cups of cheese? That's right. See if you can see that. So basically, we've done 2 eggs. 3 times 2 eggs, we get 6 eggs. 3 times 1 cup cheese, we get 3 cups cheese. Oh, man, that's going to be backwards. It's so weird. I wonder if it records backwards. I have to maths backwards. Good God, I don't even know if I can do that. We're going to try. Because I'll be doggone if you're going to miss out on any of this keen learning just because of something I didn't think of. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, that's right. I will maths backwards for you, my friend. Oh, and she knows who she is. My friend knows who inspires this mess. So, does that look right backwards? No shit, that does look right backwards. Oh, Irreverentellsworth has discovered something today. He's discovered the ability to maths backwards. Some people say, what are you doing? Are you listening to Irreverentellsworth's sermon number 4? Au contraire, my friend. I'm learning how to scale recipes. Back off, bitch. Learning zone for science. Alright, So my friend is doing conversions, and in the previous example, we talked about a cup of cheese. Well, a cup of cheese is great, but unfortunately, the grocery store I go to is Canadian, French Canadian, the Quebec. Oh, Lord, they do love their metric. They do love their metric. Did I bring any of my metric information with me right now? No. So, even worse than metric. We'll even make it worse than metric. I'll teach you something you can't even use in the real world. Welcome to the Oasis Church and Horse Rescue. My name is Reverend Ellsworth. Here at the church, we like to use something called a Winnie. That's right, a Winnie. A WHINNIE, because it's pretentious. Now, a Winnie has very many valuables, okay? For example, a cup of cheese would result into let's see how we call this. A Winnie. Yes, a 1 cup equals 1 Winnie. This is going to get so complicated. I should probably just do the easy way. I don't know, we might come back to the Winnie. Anyway, if 1 cup equals 1 Winnie, and I go to the store in the Oasis Churchland, and I say 1 cup of cheese, they're going to look at me like I got, 3 heads. They're going to say, how many Winnies is that? And you're like, oh, well, I'm looking at my handy-dandy conversion chart, and I need 1 cup of cheese. So basically you have the number 1, which is your number of cups, and then you have your measurement cup. But having it in cup doesn't help me any. So I need to establish a relationship, and a relationship can be established with a fraction of something over 1, or 1 over 1. For example, if there are 12 inches in a foot, we can do this one very easily. If there are 12 inches in a foot, if you were to divide 12 inches by 1 foot, it's essentially saying 1 over 1. And we know 1 over 1 equals 1. So to say 12 inches divided by 1 foot is 1 over 1. Also, you can say 1 foot divided by 12 inches. And by saying 1 foot divided by 12 inches, you're also saying 1 over 1. Now, if you were to multiply those, there's this thing called canceling. And we'll get back to the cup and the Winnie. But see this down here? I'm going to have to write it in reverse. Oh, this is going to be so complicated. Ooh, I bet Einstein never had days like these. Oh, the whole classroom is in another dimension. Just do all the lab notes backwards. No problem, Einstein. So let's say we have 3 yards. Oh, I'm going to have to do this all backwards. This is amazing. 3 yards of, I don't know, hemp fabric, all natural. Bitches. We've got 3 yards of hemp fabric. And we need to know how many inches that is. Well, yards and inches, that don't make sense. Do we know how many inches are in a yard? Yeah, you probably do. But to make it fun, let's go the way of feet. How many feet are in a yard? 3 feet. So, remember back to our 1 over 1 example. Our 1 over 1 example simply states that by saying one term over another term, you are essentially saying 1 over 1 and are not doing anything different. And again, backwards math is harder than I thought. So if you do 12 inches over 1 foot, you're essentially saying 1 over 1. Now, we have 3 yards, but this doesn't help us. So 12 inches over 1 feet is a good relationship. We need another relationship. And that other relationship is going to be something that gets us from feet to yards. And we know that there are 3 feet in a yard. So we can do the same relationship here where we do 1 divided by 1. And the 1 divided by 1 would be 1 yard and 3 feet. Alright, so we've got 3 feet and 1 yard. That's also 1 over 1. And we can play with these terms. If we need to flip these around, we can do it. So what we're doing here is we're going to take 3 yards of hemp, 2 relationships here. Relationships. It's what math is all about. We've got our 2 relationships here, so we don't need yards, we need feet. So what you want to do is you want to keep the term you want on top. So you're going to take your 3 yards of hemp, all natural hemp fiber, times, and you want to put yards in the denominator to get it away from it, and I'll tell you why in just a second. So we know the relationship of 3 feet and 1 yards, or just 1 yard. All right, so here's what we have so far. We have 3 yards of hemp, all natural hemp fiber, times 3 feet over 1 yard. Now what happens is that this 3 yards essentially becomes a giant foot. Ooh. 3 yards hemp and 1 is what we have. Because 3 equals 3 divided by 1, which is also 3. So this is the assumed or the essential fraction that's already there. So we're multiplying this fraction times this fraction. So now we have yards in the numerator and we have yards in the denominator. These terms cancel out, and you can just come in here and just put a line through all my effing hard work. That's what you can do. Ouch! So now we have 3 times 3 feet divided by 1. And 3 times 3 feet divided by 1 gets us 9. That's right, Space Cadets. 9 feet. That's right, 9 feet. That's amazing. So now we know our original 3 yards of all natural organic hemp fiber is actually 9 feet of all natural organic hemp fiber. That's great. So now we have 9 feet. Then you say, well, Reverend Ellsworth, I don't give a shit how many feet you got. What I need to know is how many inches you got. That's what she said. So then we take our 9 feet and we make it into our fraction, which is 9 feet divided by 1. Oh, look at that, 9 feet divided by 1. And then we take our relationships, 12 inches equals 1 foot, and we put foot in the denominator. So we get foot out of the numerator. We put foot in the denominator, and then we put our other relationship, which is 12 inches. And we put 12 inches in the numerator. And then, what we do is oh man, I do this word backwards all the way. Yes, I can. Fuck yes. So now we have, this is a fun thing to do. This is probably the most fun thing you're ever going to do in math. You're going to say, what? Did you say feet? I don't think so. Oh, we're not even going to do it in blue. Hold on. If we're going to be rude, we're going to be rude. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be rude. What's rude? Blue? Is blue rude? Blue's pretty rude. Yeah, we'll be pretty, oh no. You know what's really rude? Oh God, am I really going to do this? Brown. I think brown is very disrespectful because it's going to look like shit on the paper. Is that rude? Okay, most fun thing you're ever going to do in math. You ready? Watch this. I don't care about your feet. I don't care about your feet. All I've got is inches now. All I've got is inches now. So then what you're going to do is you're going to do, 12. I don't think I can do that backwards. Can I do that backwards? Maybe I can do that backwards. Alright. Oh my God, he's doing it, folks. He's doing it. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do some of our old people multiplication. This is astounding. Okay, so 12 times 9, 2 times 9 is 18. We'll put the 8 down here. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is good. We can do this. We can do this. Carry the 1. Carry the 1. This is like plotting a graph. 1 times 9 is 9 plus 1 is 1. 0. That's a 10. That's a 10. That's a 10 right there. So 108, 108. We're going to put a little 108 right here. And what term is left, kids? What term is left? That's right, yards. Yards is gone. Yards is gone. Yards got lost up here in the big old foot yards debacle of 2015. Then what happened? We took 9 feet. We took 9 feet times 12 inches and we got 108 inches. So that's right, folks. 3 yards.